Good evening, folks. This is Mad Painter. I hope your evening's been pretty good, and you've had a great kickoff to the beginning of the week. I know it's usually a race to the weekend, but for me, it's a race to the beginning of the week. Tonight, I've got a guy that was recently been on Vinny Eastwood, and I thought he was pretty interesting. I checked out his YouTube channel. He's got plenty of YouTubes up there that are real interesting. His name is Paul Wesley, and he's also known as Prince Truth Chaser. And I got a special co-host here with me tonight, Steve Travesty, and we're going to have a little small kind of informal roundtable about UFOs and aliens and stuff like that this evening. How are you doing this evening, Paul?
I'm doing really good. I just want to say thanks for having me on, and it's going to be an exciting show, hopefully.
You want to tell people about yourself a little bit? You were part of the Wall Street movement there in Pittsburgh, weren't you?
Oh yeah. I did a lot of well, first and foremost, I'm I guess you would say a freedom fighter, man of the people, man of love, man of light, and you know, I was the first person in Philadelphia to expose the chemtrail agenda, to bring chemtrails to light. The media, I exposed the vaccinations in Philadelphia. Just, I guess you would say one person can make a difference has always been my motto. And when the Occupy movement was in Philadelphia, I did a lot of videos with Occupy. I've done videos actually in the tent, UFO interviews with Occupy. So, you know, it's I've got I kind of have a really good variety of different subjects, whether it be the chemtrails or hybrids or New World Order. So I love to mix it up because I really think that there's so much going on in the world today that I don't think you can just pinpoint one thing, you know?
Right.
But that's definitely good to be on the show.
Oh, I'm glad you came on tonight. Steve, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Doing pretty good.
That's good. Yeah, I keep hearing you on Sean David Morton's show. Yeah, I think you put about as many hours in on the show as he's been doing.
Oh, yeah, you know, when I have to be there to be on the same schedule as him, then yes.
I meant
but I work harder than him because here I am here.
I was just joking.
Doing evolution, all over the place.
Yeah, you are producing her, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Oh, that's cool. And you're doing your own show, too, which is late at night for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's tea time in London, so it's not always that bad.
Yeah, well, that's why I like this spot, because it's prime time in California where everything's happening, you know.
Nice.
Movie producers and stuff like that are listening.
Giving everybody soft disclosure plot points, right? So, you know, this interview will end up in the plot of Avengers 2.
Oh, no way. Paul, when we talked earlier, we talked some about UFOs and that, and we decided to talk some about them. What is your take on the UFO phenomenon? Do you think a lot of it's extraterrestrial or terrestrial?
I would have to say that it's about 50-50, honestly. I think that it's 50% the world government flying these crafts and doing, actually, some of them are doing some of the abductions, responsible for some abductions. And I also think it's the other 50% would be alien intervention. These things have obviously been seen by millions and millions and millions of people worldwide, and you know, women are, you know, having their fetuses taken. You know, when they get pregnant, they have the fetuses taken off of them, and something's going on. So, but I do believe that it's a joint operation.
Are you a member of any kind of UFO group in your area?
I'm actually not, but from I basically from doing interviews and having my own personal experiences being abducted, this is kind of where I kind of, you know, get my info from.
So you've been abducted?
Oh yeah, yes, I've been abducted since I was
From a kid on, or?
Mhm. Yep. It was a scary experience, man. Trust me. It's not something I would want someone to go through, but you know, it's just one of those things where it happened, and I really just learned through self-empowerment how to actually fight this. which would be great to talk about too.
So,
because I think a lot of people that have been abducted, it's kind of like, how do I get out of this situation? How do I,
Yeah, has it been more than once, or?
Oh man, yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
I've been abducted. The earliest I can remember being taken by these things, I think I was at least, maybe 6, 7 years old. I was a kid, and this has pretty much went on all my life until I can say 4 years ago.
What?
I'm 33 now. Yeah.
They just stopped coming, or did you stop?
I mean, the whole story would be a show in its own, but it was just one thing where I think when I started interviewing people that have been abducted and talking to other people who have been abducted, I just I kind of got mixed in with the crowd of, like, I guess you would call light workers and people that were really, really knew about self-empowerment, I guess, and I found out through love and through self-empowerment, I just, you can just say no. I mean, these beings that abduct millions and millions of people, it's usually they come into the room, you see these beings, and automatically they have some kind of, I guess, neurological influence on people, and, that's it, you black out and you wake up. But when you're abducted, right before you're abducted, they're there. Most people do. You can feel it. Some people see lights in their windows. Some people actually see shadows, whatever. But it's like, they're there. You see them, and then you're taken. But, I mean, through my experience, I believe that self-empowerment is key. And, through self-empowerment and just basically saying, these beings want to abduct people for a reason, whether it be for DNA or whatever it is. But that as long as we empower ourselves and we say no, that we can stop it. But like I said, that would be a whole different show.
Well, I find that interesting because I personally believe that it all boils down to choice. Mm-hmm. Everything that happens in our life is by our choice. The choices that we make. Yeah. What do you think, Steve? You think there's?
I think partially. I don't think it's possible to deny the idea that somebody can impose their free will on yours. If that weren't the case, then just war wouldn't happen. Or there wouldn't be any collateral damage to other people's strifes, if you will. So I think that's partially true. But, reality is, I believe, is based on all of how we manifest it. But it's still a we situation, of the participants. And thus, if I am the minority in an opinion of manifested reality, it loses out. It's very much a democracy on that dimensional level.
Yeah. That's interesting, too. Personally, I believe there's probably about 80% of what we see as UFOs are probably terrestrial and not extraterrestrial. Could possibly even be interdimensional.
Yeah, I agree.
I just see it near a star, what is it, 130 light years away? And I think it is. Now, don't quote me on that. That's just a guess. But still, just spend that kind of energy to get here. They'd have to be pretty advanced.
But then again, there's been saying that they actually don't have to. I think there's they can do like Stargate travel maybe, or there's some kind of I think it's in the mid-earth in Hollow Earth, I guess. I think that's what I heard, Hollow Earth, where it's kind of like a rubber band effect with energy, to where what seems like millions and millions of light years away to us is like an hour to them, half an hour to them. So it's kind of like just hopping on your bike and riding around a corner to see your best friend, to them to come from wherever they're at.
Yeah, but the technology that got them that far, would be outrageous.
Yeah.
And where we're sitting at in the universe is pretty much in the middle of nowhere. you know. So it'd be like going way out of the city to get a pack of cigarettes at a grocery store, you know.
Well, if the rumors are true that Earth was originally a galactic nursery, then you'd want to have your nursery in a controlled environment, and thus the best way to control that environment is to put it in a decent place where change is not as chaotic.
You mean they just put all the insane people here in the corner?
Well, we've gone from being a nursery to an insane asylum. If anybody who's ever heard the Greek when he's talked during our roundtables, he'll tell you that we've gone from being a nursery to being an insane asylum, and we need to go back to being a nursery. And then those of us that graduate from the class here, we need to get off-world and start doing better things with our lives and playing Xbox, apparently.
Yeah, correct. So, Steve, if you don't mind me asking, now a lot of the viewers know about chemtrails and a lot of stuff that's going on in the world today, and it seems like through GMOs, chemtrails, all the nasty stuff that's going on now, is this depopulation program, because it seems to me like we're being depopulated. I personally think myself that it's a hybrid program, that the people that have been abducted, like myself, what's happening is these beings, they're called the Greys or the Zetas. I think that what they're doing is they're a dying race from what I gather and from what a lot of other people who've been abducted say, and that they're having these hybrids pretty much recycle humanity. Because I mean, this is what I'm getting. That basically humanity is basically being set up to be recycled. I mean, if you look at Bill Gates and his eugenics program with the vaccinations, he wants to knock down, half of the population. Then look at the New World Order; they want to knock out 90% of the population. I mean, so, and I've heard people say about this new race of humans, I guess you'd say, and it all points back to the hybrid. Even when you have like certain people and certain, people have their certain groups, like their white worker groups and all, and they say, well, humanity's going to awaken, and humanity's basically going in this new age. And I think that this new age is this new hybrid age of humans. What's your take on that, Steve?
Well, I think a quote-unquote hybrid age of humans. Well, I think we have to look at what we are genetically as a species, because one way or the other, like, we are not what Adam was. If you want to go and try to read into, like, basically ancient aliens theory, Adam lived 900 years, and his offspring all pretty much lived, nearly a millennium. These were millennium-based generations of a living being. Most humans, we start our decay rate in our late 30s, which then leads to us, dying of effectively old age, which would be effectively a body shutdown, organ failure. Things just don't work anymore. Everything hurts, vitamin deficiencies, et cetera, much later on. Part of what the quote-unquote ascension that people thought they were going to have on December 21st was supposed to be based on a different kind of galactic radiation hitting Earth from galactic center, being supercharged by various celestial alignments with the sun and the Pleiades and all these things, that was going to reactivate our quote-unquote junk DNA. So we would definitely not be, quote-unquote, human as we know ourselves now. We will have effectively evolved, but certainly not in the Darwinian sense.
Well, there are kids being grown with that are being born with an extra set of chromosomes now.
This is true.
That may be the start of it.
You know, I believe that we're on the verge of some kind of evolution, either spiritual, mentally, or physically. You know?
Well, definitely.
Yeah, we have to realize, that we've been lied to a great deal about
if not all three of them.
Yeah. We've been lied to about what DNA is and how, and why we have quote-unquote junk DNA. And it's an insult to our very being to say that this thing that is naturally there is junk. There's a reason why we have an appendix, even though it seems like we're not using it.
Even though we don't use it now, we might have used it in the past, or we're meant to be using it in the future.
Precisely.
It had its purpose if it hasn't came yet. And I believe personally that we're far older than what, we currently figure as being. And I believe we had all these powers, and that even the Internet's our attempt to get back to a global communication system that we all used to have at one time. That's how things can be the same from one side of the world to the other at the same dates, in the same periods. I wouldn't doubt that UFOs might even be some of the descendants from them earlier failed civilizations,
Yeah, that's one of the psyops of History Channel's Ancient Aliens. If you notice, they rarely ever truly talk about the idea that the pre-Diluvian ages being something that maybe wasn't just alien visitation, but was also a progenitor race of men.
Right, Mu and Atlantis.
Precisely. They don't quite get there. They always get into it was aliens.
Yeah, well, that's what their potential of the show is.
True, and there was an episode they did about prophecies in the last season. I forget which one it was, and for the first time ever in like the 4 or 5 seasons of the show, they actually had some Catholic priests that were like some sort of theologians making comments on the show. This is around the same time that we're in our papal transition in the Catholic Church here. And
I had an interview.
It feeds the conspiracy about a alien messiah psyop, Project Bluebeam situation.
I had a Reverend Carter on that was on Ancient Aliens about a year ago.
Mm.
He was pretty good. He believes in the Ancient Aliens theory. I was surprised him being a priest, Jim.
Well, please go ahead.
See, the thing that really mind boggles me is that if you look back in history and you look at, I think it's called the Nephilim, the giants.
Yeah. In the Bible, they're called Nephilims, yeah.
Right, and you look at them and now they're gone, and you find out that, there was, back in ancient times, like, we could do things, like there was electricity, hieroglyphics of, like, you could see what the Egyptians have, like they're looking up at like UFOs and different things like that. And that's what kind of brings me to maybe we're at a cycle we're at a point in humanity where it's our turn to be recycled and a new start again. And I think that's what's happening with these hybrids because
I got a problem with this word recycle, though, that you used.
Oh, definitely. And I do too. And I think that's one of the reasons why I really want to come forward with how I feel because it's unfair because I don't like it because if you think about all the people that are being adopted and it's like these mothers are being shown these hybrid children and they're saying, well, don't worry,
Have you heard of the Star Children?
I've heard of the Star Children, but I really haven't done a lot of research into it.
They're pretty amazing kids. I know that. What I've checked about them.
I mean, and that's all good, but is it really worth, us being? It's like kind of like we're the era, we're the mess up. So we're going to be kind of recycled via air, food, water, any way they can, and then these new hybrid star children are going to take over, and it doesn't sit well with me,
See, now that whole scenario. don't sit well with me was, out of all the billions of planets in the universe, they got to pick on the Earth. I mean, they can just go, if they have that much technology to get here from there. They should have enough technology, or pretty damn close to terraform any planet they want.
And who's to say that they're not, honestly, but it's just
I just don't see where we're that important. I believe that's more of an ego trip for mankind.
That could be, but there's stories that I believe are true because and it's because I've already accepted other things to be true based on the evidence about the situation where Earth is the way that it is for a reason, and it is unique. Just like every nation or every continent or whatever has places that have a unique ecosystem and conditions and habitats, et cetera, and thus has an inherent value. Earth is the same way. Now, that doesn't mean that there's going to be a sweeping takeover and the next race of beings here is going to be alien gray hybrids. But part of the agreements that the secret governments have made with various different races across the galaxy that some would consider malevolent, benevolent, or neutral have their own personal plans that go along with this, and and that is part of it. I'm a big fan of a channeler named Daryl Anka. I wish I could have gone to Wake and Aware because he was doing his channeling there on Saturday.
Who does he channel?
What's that? It's an entity named Bashar. Bashar.
Yeah, I've heard him.
Yes, Bashar says that he is of a race called the Essassani. The Essassani are a particular species of gray that are hybridized with humans, and they are extremely enlightened, extremely spiritual, and extremely good, if you will. I've listened to hours and hours of the Bashar material, and personally, I love it. I think it's awesome. I think it's right. Personally, that's just my opinion. I encourage people to check it out and make your own judgment. It's very interesting stuff, and he has a lot of people that are fans of Bashar that are out there. With that being said, Bashar also says that he is a future incarnation of Daryl Anka, and that his channeling is really him going into a past life regression that he is fully interacting with this timeline, in Daryl's life.
Now I have a problem with that.
To be a vessel for giving a message to help humanity forward with whoever's interested in listening. Yeah. Plain and simple.
I have a problem with that part, though.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Well, listen.
Don't share the limelight at all. It's actually
this world. In this place, we're always talking about. We talk about elves and fairies and aliens, and super soldiers and spacecraft and the weirdest, craziest things.
Any kind of conspiracy, we've talked about it, haven't we?
Oh, of course. Hey, listen, this is open canvas, right?
Yeah, I talked to Shepard Hoodwin, who channels the Michael entities, and he kind of follows that other guy too, close. The Michael entities do. They're so similar. It's strange.
And I kind of agree with what Steve's saying to an extent. I kind of again want to go back to self-empowerment as key because, a lot of people that I hear, they're like, well, there's this Arcturians who are kind of look like the tall, skinny Zetas, and like Bashar, how he says that there are, and there might be positive grays or the tall ones that are out there, but self-empowerment is key because as soon as we say, well, and I think this has been going on for ages. It's like we're looking for a being to come down and fix things. And things are so messed up right now that let's just say, a bunch of grays came down. They said, "Hey, look, we're really nice. We want to fix things." People would be like, "Oh my God, like thank you, you're great. Thank you for saving us," instead of self-empowering themselves. And I get frustrated.
I don't have even a close thought of them coming to say, "Hey, we're here to save you." That's up to our ass.
You know what I'm saying? My thing is if there is this good guy bunch of enlightened grays, and why are the bad ones in underground bases having people in meat lockers, like Phil Schneider had said, and Carl Turner had said, and both are dead. So it's anyone who gets close to the truth of what's really going on, they wind up either with cancer or a heart attack.
That's what you're getting close to the truth of the government's secrets. Yeah. And that's the government, and that's our own internal problems. If there's one thing I like about the whole thing about the theory of benevolent aliens, let's say that it's a complete hoax. Still, the message of the benevolent aliens is we're trying to help you help yourself. If it's all a hoax, then it's the best hoax for humanity, because if they don't exist, we still helped ourselves out of this crap, and we can be proud of ourselves for that. And that is something I like.
Now, I agree with that. But the self-empowerment is key, and I think that we really need to look at things open-heartedly. And when I first, I don't just look at and think of like a data, like, okay, well, you're the one that's taking people against their free will. Like some people say, oh, well, they take us and they say that we're messengers for humanity. Well, I never asked to be taken. And I think that goes against galactic free will. If you come and you take someone without them knowing, I didn't sign a contract.
According to what we think.
Yeah, but I agree though with the whole thing.
It could be like them picking an ant up off the ground.
But
that's a perspective thing there,
Somebody. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, GMO, hell no, in the chat room says, doesn't radiation keep make space travel impossible, making aliens really from the hollow Earth or other dimensions? That is a good possibility now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we really don't know where they're coming from, but there is something going on.
Well, they're all if they're all using a teleporter, bending space-time, time-space, et cetera, then they're all coming from another dimension as their medium. I'm a comic book fan. Nightcrawler and Azazel, those two characters, one's a hero, one's a villain, in the Marvel Universe, they're X-Men universe characters. When they teleport, they go through an in-between dimension to get there. In fact, that dimension, I think, is sort of akin to the description of hell in many respects too. Not that makes you evil, but that's just the Marvel Universe thing. But you have to have an understanding of dimensions because you are traveling through a dimension to make it happen.
Right. What do you think, Steve? Do you think that free will is being taken from individuals that are being adopted, or no?
I don't think it's being taken. I just think that you're on your own, and you have to realize your own power in that moment. It's kind of like you're in class, and this is your quote unquote test. Do you realize how much power you have against them or not? I heard a story on a different radio station about a woman who was experiencing an abduction, and somehow with what level of ability she had to speak and move within that, she got upset about something, and she started ignoring the Greys while she was sitting in the table waiting for them to do their procedure on her or something like that. So she was just being obstinate and standoffish with them because she didn't like their attitude or some nonsense like that. And then she started to notice that because she was doing that, these Grey beings were getting frustrated and upset. And they were getting finicky. They weren't talking or anything like that. If they were, it was all telekinetic amongst themselves. You know, and they really just didn't like what was going on, and that was her impression. This is all her testimony. Then after a few minutes of this, because they apparently couldn't touch her, a taller entity, I forget how she described it, but a taller, much more menacing and dark entity came in, and this guy was obviously their overseer. It wasn't a tall gray, according to her description. It was something
It might have been a Draco.
Maybe a Draco. Don't know. It could have been an illusion that whatever the entity was had put up, and it came in and had to do something to knock her out. So they had to bump up the game a little bit.
So what are you guys
in trouble because of her free will, and she stumbled on that by accident, and that became a new tool in her kit. And that's all I can remember of the interview I heard on the air.
Mm-hmm. What are your guys' thoughts about the Draconians, the reptilians? Have you guys heard of them? Or?
If they ain't got a green card, they need to leave.
I got one as a pet, so I'm not worried.
Got the iguana at the house.
I want to know how the reptilians will taste barbecued. Yeah. Now, next week I got Scotty Roberts coming on, and he's going to talk about a book about the secret history of the reptilians. I thought that'd be a pretty good thing because, you know, Hijacker here on the station, he talks quite a bit about reptilians. So that ought to be an interesting show. Hawk's saying out there in the chat room, by the way, people, that he's been listening to a lot of the radio frequencies around the world, and I guess something's going on with our fleet right now, and he said, y'all ought to just be aware of what's going, you know, that stuff's happening out there.
Yeah.
What's going on.
If anybody listened to me reading off the Ben Fulford report, a false flag attack is a plan for this week. A false flag nuclear attack that could hit the West Coast. So let me just repeat that for y'all. And apparently Los Angeles and Portland, Oregon are two West Coast targets at the moment.
Well, he just said this has nothing to do with Ben Fulford.
Well, sure, but that's what makes it more interesting because it's corroborating with Ben Fulford. It's independent of it, yet it works with it.
Yeah, he's listening to all the military frequencies and stuff, and there's a lot of chatter going on, is what he was saying a little while ago.
Well, precisely. I mean, you know, everybody's taking the North Korea thing as serious as a heart attack.
Well, you got to, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
like, you know, I've listened to Douglas Dietrich, and, you know, I agree with Douglas Dietrich, you know, who also says that North Korea does not really want to fight anybody. It would be easy to wipe their entire country off the map.
I think it's the thing also with the North Koreans with food. I mean, they're pretty much getting ready to collapse because they're, you know, pretty much running out of food, and they're like a baby having a cancer right now, and they want us to feed into it.
Well,
yeah.
I'll tell you, I don't normally watch too much of the world news, but this guy has surrounded himself with a bunch of would-be generals. Well, I can't say that because they've been in the military for years, but you know, they're new at their commands, and then he's new, and his father had terrorized the world for what, 40 years, and he's got a little bit of a shadow to overcome, you know.
Yeah, I think it's him, his aunt, and I think his aunt and someone else that's working with him.
And these people have they don't think like we do. They're not the same mindset as we have.
Right.
It's totally different if you've ever seen it.
You know, and I agree, and I think the mainstream media, you know, they really hype a lot of this up too, and there's a lot that they don't cover. And I think when you look at like world relations, that the mainstream media should be really. I'm not a big fan of the media, but
here in our country is controlled by six corporations. That's it. All the media. The only thing that isn't totally controlled by them corporations is this internet.
Mm-hmm.
which it makes it a good tool for that, you know.
But then again, until when? You know, that's the question, because it all comes up to, again, with self-empowerment. And I think that, you know, people are so pampered, like Steve said, with Xbox and everything else. And it's just, I think that was the plan of the New World Order to begin with. It's like, let's pamper them, give them internet, give them, you know, toys and gadgets, and let's sign executive orders. Let's have the media, you know, say what we want them to say, and then people will be so lazy that, and this is key. Is
well,
that
people have been dumbed down.
Yeah, that's it. But it drives us up the question that is, when people actually say, "Hey, I know what's going on," will they actually decide to make a difference? And I think that's key also, because that effort to actually get up off the couch and say, "Hey, I'm not going to take it anymore," you know. But am I willing to lose my comfort to do that? And I think that's where the United States differs from other countries, because they don't have a lot of the comfort that we have. So that it's like, you know, we want change and we want it now. Where America, to some extent, when people do wake up, are they going to be willing to say, am I willing to give up my comfort to fight for that change?
Well, most people here in this country don't do a damn thing unless it affects them. That's the problem.
So the me mentality, yeah.
You know, and it's just sad. That's like certain people. I seen something today that kind of irked my butt. There's going to be a movie about disclosure released here shortly. This guy went around and he begged everybody for money to make this disclosure movie, and now they're opening it as a Hollywood production. So, I mean, he virtually got the movie made by everybody else, and now he's going to become rich off it.
And what is he going to do with money? You know,
it's and it has to do with UFO disclosure.
Wow.
I ain't gonna mention any names.
Well, yeah, that's Dr. Greer's.
I wasn't gonna mention names.
Well, you can't be afraid to mention. Look, everybody knows what we're talking about.
I know they knew, but I wasn't. You know, I didn't directly say it. You know.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
because I got nothing against the guy.
I had an important point which involved directly referencing, because the last year or so we had the Sikh temple shooting. What many people don't know is that the father of the guy who he co-made the film with, I forget his name, his father was a member of that Sikh temple, and he was one of the murdered in that incident. So, you know, that's nothing to, you know, he's pushing to get distribution. You know, there's been loss here, and there's people that, you know, that need something. So he's pushing to you know, to make sure that this film makes a mark, makes a dent. You know what I mean?
Well, it's gonna make a big dent in his pocket when it fills up with cash.
And you know what? And it's that isn't wrong in and of itself. Will he do things that are wrong with that, or will he use that to fund the next level?
Well, see, my point is now it's going to be a mainstream movie. You see, and it's not going to be. It's been Hollywoodized.
Well,
I mean, what else can I say?
And Thrive hasn't paid Foster Gamble in any better of a place. And Foster Gamble has made his statement that I'm not that rich. I am not as privileged as the other people running Procter and Gamble. So I'm just saying that yes, we should be extremely suspicious of that always. Because, you know, the money comes in and it taints the purity, or it could potentially be tainting the purity. I'm just saying that is not a reason to discredit it unless you actually have the evidence that it has done wrong in that in
I
that.
just get an rightful feeling of it. You know what I mean? Because of that. Now you got the other you had the other disclosure guy, Steve Bassett, right? And he turns around and starts getting sued by people.
Wow.
That he promised to do this and he promised to do that, and and he stayed with people and stuff, and they've sued him. So why do these kind of people end up at the forefront of disclosure? It's just kind of strange.
Well, I mean,
he just happens to be the man.
Put his work in.
He just happens to be the man up there now, being looked at like I said, right. Stephen Greer last year or the year before,
Yeah, I mean, you got to remember, Carrie Cassidy and what's his face? I can't remember her partner's name. They almost had a show on A&E that was was going to be roughly the same material as Jesse Ventura's conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
And that got screwed over for various reasons.
Yeah, I thought
some of which are rumors, some of which are more accustomed to.
Me and Tim Dollinger done 4 hours with Stephen, or with the one I just said the last, not Greer, the other one, Bassett, about a year ago, just before that other stuff come to light. So I just think the UFO field is just so covered with stuff, it's ridiculous. You just don't know where to go.
It is. It seems like it's overflooded with different views, different info, and so many different accounts. It's where do you begin to start at, and where do you begin to separate facts from fiction and truth and lies? I mean, it's rough. And the thing is with the whole UFO thing is, a lot of people that have experienced UFO encounters or alien encounters, they don't even want to come forward with it because they're scared to death. So I'm sure there's a lot of actually really good information that's out there that can't be acquired and can't be got to because a lot of people just want to keep it to themselves,
Right. Well, it's akin to the it's a psychological torture, just like anybody who's been the victim of sexual abuse and things like that, and they will come out in their own time, when they when they can for themselves.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, you were saying something, Steve, about the weather modification earlier.
Oh yeah, who was that guy you were talking about before we got on the air?
Everybody knows this from me. I always talk about it, so nothing special anymore. just the regular day to day. Sean Boutreau's work. Let me throw the link up as I always do. This is his webpage, which you'll immediately get the pictures, and then if you go to Industrial Surrealism on YouTube, you can check out the videos. And well, the videos are also linked to the page anyway. But and if you check this out, and this is just showing you the military black ops projects in practical application, just over your head. I mean, all of those pictures are taken in New Orleans. He lives in New Orleans, Louisiana, and he's always taking shots of his skies and showing you all the variety of anomalies in the cloud, and then he shows you through diagramming what is there. And then sometimes he doesn't even diagram them just because they're so obvious. You can just throw the picture in your face and see it, and yeah, you can see it because you can see the shadow. Wow. It gets blatantly obvious.
Yeah, some of them pictures are pretty awesome.
Yeah, and you know what? Using my own little digital camera, a piece of crap, nothing as good as the stuff he's working with, I've taken my own pictures. I made my own video. My own personal video to validate his videos, and this is over my home in Connecticut.
Do you have it up on YouTube or something?
Yes, I do. It's on my personal page. Let me grab that for you.
I play with it and I take a close look at them.
Mm-hmm.
it kind of makes me and a lot of people wonder, like, what are they doing with the weather modification? Is this weather wars? Is this
well, the reptilians would like a warmer world.
Are we prepping the world for these reptilian hybrids? Or, it's whatever it is, it's not faring well for us, And I think when I first started out doing it in Philadelphia, doing like Steve had said about making videos of it and taking pictures of it, people really didn't want to hear it. People were just like, they're crazy. Why would the government spray in the skies, toxic stuff? And I think that when I finally had interviewed weatherman Scott Stevens, he earned the title of, meteorologist Scott Stevens.
Yeah, he's been here on the station a couple of times.
Yeah, exactly, and that right there, I think, woke up the world, at least people in this city, because they're like, a meteorologist can just admit it, that the government's been spraying on us.
I believe he's been on Roxy Lopez's show, but I'm not positive. And it wasn't too long ago.
But what do you guys think the ultimate goal of this weather modification is?
I personally, I've always said this, is that everything the government does, it does for several reasons, which is why it gets the level of funding that it does. If we want to talk about the basics of chemtrailing in general, chemtrailing is a service, and there's a company that performs that service, and they will chemtrail whatever they are paid to chemtrail. So the CIA front company that handles the chemtrailing, or whoever owns the front company, will say, okay, we offer chemical spraying services for all of your Illuminati needs. What do you want today? Oh, well, we're going to be using HARP over Arizona to create a drought for the next 6 months. Okay, that'll cost you $6 billion to do that, and all right, to do that, you're going to need some barium, some strontium, et cetera, to work with your HARP system, yada, 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 and they run a business. They're running a business. So you have to look at, who's paying them to do what precisely. And so what they're doing changes based on whoever the client that they're serving. It's pretty freaking...
That would make a soup up there, man.
It is a soup. I've heard everything. I've heard everything from they're blocking out the sky so you can't see celestial events like massive UFO activity or Nibiru, protection from solar flares. I have weather modification, Morgellons disease, which is tied to the transhuman agenda. It's absolutely true. I've heard that it's blocking the ascension process because the way the chemicals work is cutting off aspects of how our auric fields communicate with our higher selves. Of course, there's the mind control aspect because we're inhaling shards of microscopic particles of aluminum, which is getting into the brain and screwing up our neurological functions. There is a plethora. All of these things are happening, some of which are a byproduct and some of which are the main things. They don't really care as long as they can keep a low profile, which is where because the politicians need to keep them off their backs.
Man, sounds to me like we should just kiss our ass goodbye.
Hey, listen, we know what they're using. So listen,
well, I know
aluminum. Let's go get a militia together and let's go take an aluminum mine or something. For them.
Let's not forget that Department of Homeland Security just ordered 1.6 billion rounds of hollow point ammunition.
Yeah, I'm not putting any of it. I'm not saying any of it's not real now.
Well, they've been buying hollow point bullets like that for decades.
Yeah.
Or before DHS. And because they have to use the rounds that they're going to use whenever they're going to need to. And they're always prepping for something. They're always making a big stink to justify their own existence.
Well, the government's job is to
not going to use those on the American people. I'm just saying that that's why you're seeing it, despite there not being a reason, because they've been talking about, they've been reporting on that many bullets being bought by DHS for at least 5 years now.
Yeah, and you know, the government's job is to prepare for any contingency. Period.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I don't see that really being a big issue, because, I mean, hell, they order them in bulk anyways. And it could be for several years, you know, that before they use them.
Unless they're inviting, effectively, the Chinese military to come over here and to use our munitions supplies, there isn't the manpower with the will to do this. There really
No,
is.
I don't think so either.
And it is standard practice when you're getting out of the military to be, in your debriefing, asked if you're going to fire on American civilians if ordered to do so. That's a standard practice. Just like buying the bullets, it's a standard practice. Apparently, they've been doing that for decades as well.
Oh, yeah, they've been doing that for a while. And see, some of them orders now are 5-year orders, too. They're not all filled at the same time, you know?
Right. But they're also using them because they have guys going out to do things like target practice.
Yeah.
Plus, you know, you're going to want to recycle your rounds because you don't want to have your guns are defective.
Yeah.
Bullets are made out of metal. They're going to eventually rust and things like that. If you don't use them, they don't work properly as much anymore.
Well, as far as the chemtrails, I can see a practical purpose for them. If the sun is giving off more radiation, it's possible that they're putting stuff up there to help stop the radiation. And if it is weather modification, trying to figure out how to do this so crops grow the right way, they should really let us know about it. So I think that leaves out them two things right off the bat there, you know? Because I don't see them not telling us that the sun might do that, because, I mean, what are we going to do? There's nothing we can do, you know, as people.
Right. I don't think that there's really much of any good coming from the chemtrails at all. If there were, they'd probably be much more candid about it. They'd be much more honest and be like, okay, here's a crisis. Here's the science behind the crisis. Here's the solution. Let's do it. And they probably wouldn't reach that much resistance. There's something else going on, and it is incredibly important to them that mum is the word on this project.
Now, Paul, you went out a while back, you said, and filmed people and asked them about chemtrails. What was some of the answers you got?
Well, I think one of the things was that you expect to hear is that you're just pretty much out of your mind. And I think after you know, again, and self-empower yourself to actually expose it to someone, you get used to that, and it just becomes this thing where it's like you just don't care. And so I've been pretty much used to that, because what a lot of people will say, well, it's contrails, it's either contrails or you're crazy, the government wouldn't do that. And I said, well, when was the last time that you've seen a real puffy cloud? And they said, well, you got a point. And I said, well, when's the last time you've seen a blue sky? I said, when you look up in the sky, it's not blue anymore, it's haze. And I said, well, where does that haze come from? I said, well, have you ever thought that when they spray these chemicals in the air that they actually mesh out? And if they do it enough, it's just going to cover the sky. Look at your sun.
Well,
it seems like they're targeting the sun area, too.
See, I'm an old guy. When I grew up, the sun was yellow. Now it's white.
I'm only 33, and I remember when the sun was yellow, too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the sky used to be a bright blue, and now it's a haze, whitish blue now. And I very seldom get to see that blue anymore. I see it once in a while, but not very often.
Kind of makes you wonder, is it worldwide? Because
it's definitely worldwide. We talk to people in Bulgaria that see them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's plenty of footage all over the place, of what the sky just looks like. So,
Australia, too?
But they've been doing this since 1997, I think.
I got, well, we'll say at least pre-1985.
And here's the thing, though. If it was to block out Nibiru, Planet X, I mean, why do it that long?
I don't know. I am in possession of some documents that prove that the government knew about chemtrailing in 1985.
1985, wow.
Well, the existence of the chemtrailing process has been around, I was told has been around since the Vietnam War. Because they were using it to spread Agent Orange and things like that. As far as chemtrails as the standard blanket the sky over America in peacetime kind of thing that we have going on now, that has been happening. That started somewhere in the 90s.
Welcome back, folks. I hope you enjoyed the first half of the show. I want to remind everybody this is Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. We're totally listener-funded, and because of y'all, we're one of the higher-ranked stations on the Internet today, and we sure appreciate it. And if you could see your way of kicking a buck or two in, we could sure use it to help. We're doing a fundraiser to upgrade the station and possibly get Studio B going here shortly. We're sitting here talking about UFOs, chemtrails, and I guess the Illuminati or New World Order. And guest tonight is Paul Wesley, and he's also known as Prince Truth Chaser on YouTube. You all ought to go check out his YouTube. And we also been joined by Tumbling Dice. How are you doing this evening?
Hey, Mad Painter. I'm doing well. How are all of you guys doing tonight?
Good. Thank you.
Great. I had to pipe in here because I've been listening about the chemtrails, and I come from the great chemtrail state of Oregon. And they just fly over us nonstop over here, and I understand it's because of the jet stream. Just is perfect over our state.
Do they fly in a general direction, or?
They mostly fly north and south, but they'll do their crisscrosses and their X's and all kinds of stuff, depending, I believe, on what they want to do with the jet stream. What I wanted to point out is there's a great documentary out called Why in the World Are They Spraying?
Oh, yeah, that guy's been on the show, or not my show, but on the station before, or not too long back.
Yeah. Yeah, his theories seem pretty solid. The two main ones that caught my attention is, one, they are modifying the weather to create droughts and floods in certain areas, mostly in the Midwest, to push the small farmers out. It's the old deal where you don't have anything you can grow, then the big corporations can come in and buy your property, and all of a sudden the weather is beautiful again. And the second, go ahead.
I was just going to say, no, that's just one I hadn't heard before now.
Yeah, and his other theory is, and it's true, like a lot of things, the stock market has its hedges and its puts on the weather now. So you can make a put that, corn won't do well this year. And if you can control the weather, well, you're making a lot of money.
Yeah, that's true. What do you guys think?
That makes sense. The Illuminati are tricksters, and God only knows what they're capable of. Have you ever heard of Sophia Smallthorne? Or
no?
Michael Mumphrey was the name of that guy from that movie. I believe that you mentioned there, Tumbling Dice.
Are there other groups in Portland that are kind of like anti-chemtrail groups over there? Or?
There's a woman, I don't know her name offhand, that lives in Bend that's really an advocate to get rid of the chemtrails, at least over our heads here. I I mean, I can go out almost every day and take a picture of some kind of chemtrail going on over here.
Has any of it made it to the ground that you've noticed? You know, like dust on the cars and stuff like that?
Yep.
You ever considered taking a sample of it?
Well, I could, but I don't know who I would take it to. I mean, I guess I could do research.
A high school chemistry teacher?
Not at my age.
Well, you know, I mean, in your area. You know, that might be, I mean, if it's, you know what I mean, he might be able to break it down and figure out what it is.
I think you can, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, you never know until you try, you know.
I think you can actually see the chemtrails falling at night. I think you need a black, like a black fluorescent light. Well, you know, the light bulbs, the black ones, I think.
Yeah.
And you can actually see them because they're nanoparticles, but you can actually see it coming down. I've never tried it, but you know, I'm really in the process of testing the soil and seeing what I can come up with. Maybe test the river water and see what I can come up with. I mean, it's got to.
Well, if she could find actual powder or something, you know, or keep an eye on your cars and.
Oh yeah, our patio furniture, everything is covered with dust. Just the other day, we had a terrible windstorm come through here, and I've lived in Portland now for 20 years, and never seen the winds like I have the last couple of years through here. And but I will, you know, I will take a sample and see what I can do with that, and I'll try and get the woman over in Bend maybe involved. She puts on YouTube videos and such.
It might even be possible to look up some simple like processes for chemistry testing, and you might be able to do it yourself.
Yeah, you might be able to separate the chemicals or something, you know.
Yeah, you know, like it says, like here, mix this with this at that temperature, and if you get this reaction, it means you have this in your chemical.
Yeah, I could probably do that. I used to own a hot tub and played around with that kind of stuff.
I've never come across. I see chemtrails constantly where I'm at, but we have a lot of air traffic right where I'm at, and because we get Tallahassee, Jacksonville, Atlanta, Orlando. You know, all comes right through where I'm at. And so I see a lot of chemtrails, but I don't see any organized ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, this is blatant over our heads here.
And I've never found anything that I could, you know, think came from them.
It kind of makes me wonder who's spraying it. Is it drones? Are these, you know, human beings that are flying these planes and spraying this? And if so, if it is a human being that's actually flying these planes, where are they landing at? Where can we actually physically confront these individuals that are doing this?
I think a good place to start, because I've heard that it's all a CIA type of operation, is in Arkansas. There was a airfield that was established for CIA operations in the not in the 90s, in the 80s, when Clinton was governor of Arkansas, and it's you know, and it was used for drug trafficking, and this CIA airfield, I forget the name of it. I heard about it in a documentary, which was about the drug trafficking. That might be a good place to start. Their airfield might be expanded to have like 707s or something like that, you know, like mid-sized jumbo jets or whatever. I've seen pictures leaked on Facebook that show the inside of a chemtrail plane, and it looks like a hollowed out, you know, jumbo jet, and then it's just got these huge canisters throughout the whole thing.
Have you ever seen the actual pictures where they say they're spraying out red blood cells, I think it is, where the spray's actually red?
Spray's red? Well, I've seen chemtrails all the time. It looks like white crap to me.
Yeah, it does to me.
What would be the purpose of them spraying red?
I have no idea. It was on a YouTube video, right, and I've seen it, and I just was curious if you guys heard anything about it. But
probably it spread a disease.
It could be.
Now, that's a possibility there. Now, I wasn't thinking of that, but, I mean, wouldn't they die before they hit the ground?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure they would have thought of that. So probably
but
not.
I think the number one question is how do we confront this issue of madness? Because that's really what it is. And unless it's on an actual military base that, you know, these planes or drones are landing and flying out from, I mean, something has to be done.
It doesn't have to be military, and it probably isn't, because the military, the guys that aren't top secret type stuff, they're going to sit there and say, why is there a commercial jetliner on our airfield? And, you know, and some general that isn't in the know is going to ask that as well. This is going to be coming from a private airfield. It's got to be coming from a private airfield,
right? Because I mean, it's like, what do we do? You know, we can go out and bullhorn and have chemtrail rallies and wake up the world and wake up the masses, but if we don't collectively just get together and then confront this, it's like, what can we do? You know, this I think that's the $1 million question: is how can we actually confront these beings that are doing this? You know,
how can that many pilots keep it secret?
That makes me wonder if they're human or not.
Their families are very vulnerable to bullets.
I don't know about that now.
Every story, it's the same thing. It's like, they pay me well, and they'll threaten my family. Those are the two stories that come out about everything involved with keeping secrets with the government.
But then again, what about their children? I mean, their children are going to have to live through this. So is it really worth their children's future? Because their children, in the end, are going to have a future. And that also goes to the weathermen, the media. I talked to Scott Stevens, and he said that definitely they can see it on the Doppler radar. They can see this.
Well, yeah, but you know what? They can make your life even worse of hell. They'll tell you, listen, those chemicals are getting up in the air whether you like it or not. Now, do you want your family to have a reasonable existence or don't you? You have to understand the level that we're working at here.
Yeah,
we're talking about Nazis and communists.
You're still going to have
trying to kill us.
You're still going to have a percentage of people that's going to say, hell no.
Yeah, right, exactly. I would. I mean,
that percentage of people isn't going to make a dent when you only need maybe about 100 people out of the entire flying community, and it doesn't have to be Americans. This could be somebody that flew in from Germany today who doesn't have to worry about what's going to happen to America. That's the other thing. They can say, like, oh, what about my family? Oh, we got an awesome place for you where there is no chemtrailing in Europe. Oh, okay, that sounds awesome.
Great point.
Just think, it's not that hard. It is not that hard. They do it all the time. These people, their penchant for evil, their callousness, their ability to make a deal is endless. It is boundless.
So here we go, Steve.
They do not have souls. They are soulless monsters.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
They do not care. All they care about is getting you to do it without them having to deal with that much trouble. That's all they care about, is how much trouble it's going to make to get it done.
I just still seeing if it was... I just don't believe that they could keep something that massive a secret. And it's not just 100 pilots. It's more than that. I mean, shoot.
And that goes back to this... I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just see it being a worldwide thing. It's not just happening. There's got to be... If it isn't an explanation of our atmosphere has actually been so polluted, it's changed the consistency of the actual chemtrail behind the plane, which, I mean, you know, there's 715 ingredients in jet fuel. That's quite a bit of ingredients.
And that kind of goes back to the question, are they human? And what I was saying earlier on the show was that, you know, the depopulation agenda. Are there interdimensional beings doing this? Because if the actual goal is to recycle humanity, and I know you don't want to hear that, you don't like that word, but...
Well, no, I'm just, you know, that just seems kind of that gets back to that point where if you have that much technology, what do you need this little backward world for?
I mean, it's all about DNA also. Our DNA, so I hear, is special. We have the DNA of the universe, universal DNA. So
see, now that to me goes back to that ego thing of mankind. You know, they like to think they're special, and I don't think we're all that
if
special.
If we're not special, then why haven't they just wiped us out and just done whatever the heck they wanted with the planet? Why go through the trouble of dominating us and making us sick and forcibly changing us? There's something going on. It's either that or there are no aliens at all, and we should just drop all of the paranormal that I talked about on Revolution Radio.
It's the demons pretending to be UFOs.
Oh, right. Precisely. You know, but that's for the next 2 hours.
Well, are there aliens? Probably. Have they come here and fooled around with us? Probably. You know, good or bad? I don't know. Are they messing with us right now? I have to go with Mad Painter. I just don't think we're that special. I don't think we're that special.
Not as far as the universe. If you think about how many stars are out there, you can only see, I don't know, probably 100,000 stars at night when you look up in the sky on a real clear night. But in all actuality, there's more stars out there than there are grains of sand on the Earth. And then if you add planets to them, and most stars have more than one planet, you know, you're talking about quite a few places out there to park your RV at, you know?
Yeah. Well, I have to learn with that.
Maybe the universe also has an overpopulation problem.
I just don't see that happening. I mean, if they got enough, like I was saying, if they have enough technology to get here from somewhere else, they probably have enough technology, or they're pretty damn close to having the technology to terraform.
Well, then we look at guys.
I have to understand that there's more than just technology to it. It has way more to do with technology.
Mm-hmm. If you look at what Phil Schneider, who worked on these underground bases, he said that there was an agreement made, there was a firefight with these beings, and that they were using us for harvesting us, feeding off our energy, and that basically, you know, when we get back to the chemtrails and say, well, not a lot of people have come out, well, there's more than one occasion where people have come out about these beings, and that a lot of them are negative. Not all of them, but a lot of them are. And there's also millions and millions and millions of people who have been abducted that all share the same scenario, the same story under hypnosis. So something's still going on, and to say that it's an ego, like, oh, well, you know, we think we're important. I don't think it's about ego. I think it's about, you know, documented facts that they're messing with us for some reason. And
I don't doubt that we're being messed with. It's who's doing the messing that makes me wonder.
Someone.
We've been joined by 630. You have something to add?
Hey, my painter. How are you?
Is this Mike?
Yes, sir. How are you?
Evening. What you up to tonight? You got something to add to this?
Not especially.
Not especially. You couldn't tune in again?
I just hope I can live another 15 years and think about it, you know?
Well, I don't think we got that long. I think within the next 5 years we're going to know for sure. Myself.
Yeah. Hey,
that's just my personal gut feeling.
Numerology. You got 2001. You know, that was 9/11, and then you had the crash. Was it 2006? All right. So that's 5 years, and then 5 years from there was almost 2012, but nothing happened. But we did have a couple world events like Fukushima, and and maybe even Katrina. I don't know. I forgot. I think Katrina was earlier than that.
Well, no, Katrina was 05-06. The economic crash, if that's what you're talking about, was 08. And Fukushima was 2011.
Okay, so those are kind of like one after the other. So
and Obama.
Oh, don't even mention him. Please, I anyway. You mean the incarnate son of perdition? Is that what you mean?
I'm not sure.
That's a good one.
I'm not even sure what you're talking about.
Oh, okay. The incarnate son of perdition. I just sort of made that up. In other words,
that's why we don't know what you're talking about.
I knew Steve would like that, by the way.
Start the flocks coming.
I mean, guys, think about this. He's going to force me to buy something I don't even want. I don't want the Western medical model. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, they treat symptoms. They don't heal maladies. That's the right word.
There's no money in curing a disease. There's money in treating a disease.
Yeah, Mike, you have to realize there's a lot of us in the same boat that you're in with this whole Obamacare thing, and it all comes down to money, right? So if a good majority of us don't have the money, it ain't going to go anywhere. I mean,
it just ain't going to work.
It just ain't going to work. So my advice to anybody that's really, stressing about this is, I mean, if you have any money, put it somewhere else, and then when they come and say, oh, you got to pay for this Obamacare, with what?
Yeah. Well, I had a cartoon I was sharing with my email, and it was with this big old IRS giant, like the Nephilim, and the little Obama, there, and he goes, I forgot what he said, something about you gotta talk to this guy now about the healthcare system. But there was a guy in Bloomberg today, a healthcare analyst. This guy was really amazing. I don't know a lot about the healthcare system because I don't subscribe to the Western model. But anyway, he said this is a professional analyst, and he's a member of a bigger group of analysts. And he said essentially it's gonna increase prices for everybody. The whole thing. Anytime the government gets involved with anything, help me out, guys and girls. I think it goes to hell. Am I right?
Amen.
Oh, yeah. Why do you have to worry about setting your rates competitively when you can just have the law assure that you will have customers?
That's a fact.
Ayn Rand was right.
Who?
Ayn Rand.
I missed the reference.
Some people pronounce it Ayn Rand.
What is it?
She was a philosopher. She wrote Atlas Shrugged and The Fountainhead.
I wasn't sure what the reference was.
You don't know Ayn Rand?
No, man. I'm just an old hillbilly.
Boo. Man, I'll get you an education on Ayn Rand later. I can't get into that now.
Well, I'm just imagining, if this whole Obamacare goes through and I don't pay the fees and I'm sitting in jail and I have to, look at those other mean women and they're going to say, what are you in for? And I'm going to say, I didn't pay for insurance. I think, I'm going to feel so odd.
They're not going to put you in jail for that, but they're going to
FEMA camp.
I'm not going to put you in a FEMA camp, but they are going to economically freaking clench you down into oblivion.
Money?
And it's going to be a coercion into submitting to the system like that. It's either that or people start doing another thing, which is, also an issue in and of itself, which is, just creating work that has nothing to do with the IRS, nothing to do with taxes.
Oh, they've already made it illegal in most places to barter for food.
Well, yeah, they don't want you doing anything that the government doesn't have a hand in.
Yep.
They want to be in complete control of all flow of Federal Reserve notes, plain and simple.
Any kind
and until this, gold and silver and U.S. Treasury notes or something starts kicking in against the Federal Reserve note, that's why I am giving this Bitcoin thing a chance that I've been hearing about so much.
See, I don't see no difference between that and any other currency.
Oh, there's a big difference. It's not beholden to any bank or nation.
Well, but it's beholden to an EMP.
It is beholden to an EMP. But then again, so is your PayPal account.
Yeah, I don't have one.
So is all of our money that isn't physically in our hands.
Yeah, that's the only kind I ever
All they have to do is type a number in a computer, and all of a sudden, voila, there's $1,000.
All I see is the money in my hand. I don't see any other.
Yeah, but that's fine for you and me. But the money in your hand, when you withdrew that money,
I don't withdraw
from an electronic record of your situation of how much money you had given the bank at some point. When you give the bank your money, you literally give them your money.
I don't have a bank account.
Okay? Yeah, but whoever gave you that money does have a bank account. If I don't have a bank account, but I'm still getting a paycheck from my job, that job is going to give me a check, and it's going to say Bank of America or J.P. Morgan Chase or something like that. I have to cash that check, and
hide your
the
money.
idea is that it is guaranteed that I will get that money. But if an EMP attack hits, they're going to lose all their records of that check. And they're going to be like, the money's not there because our computers are down, effectively.
Right. Exactly. And then, that's right. Everybody I know has an electronic bank account, and they have direct deposit. So basically, some people just live with their debit or credit card. I mean, if an EMP came, you're not going to be able to get gas at the gas station. Okay? We're going to go into this quote-unquote martial law. I mean, then and there. I mean, forget anything except anything. I mean, people don't have gold and silver.
Because all the merchants, you have to understand, we can choose to just plain straight up use a physical dollar in our hand as much as we want. All the merchants are working on a digital level.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I remember working at jobs.
Still, either way, you're going to lose.
And I'm getting the knuckle buster to run people's credit cards. It's annoying.
Well, either way, I see it not doing any good, because if either one, if one goes down, the other one's going to go down too.
Precisely. So you know what? If the internet goes down, Bitcoin's going to go down, but so is the frickin' dollar. So that's fine.
Everything.
Money.
Yeah. Yeah. It just don't make much sense to me.
Guys and girls, if the internet, if the electric, if we lost internet, I mean, trucks. Like, I'm a driver. I don't do produce. I used to. They're not going to get to the stores. Oh, okay, help me out, Mr. Steve. Mr. Steve, help me out. How many days do the Western stores have on their shelves? Last time I checked, it's $72, 72 hours.
That's it, 72 hours. That's it.
It's going to be literally the same as anywhere else outside of the Midwest, because it's got to travel here, via your diesel engine trucks and diesel engine trains.
Right.
We haven't started the hemp economy yet. We're not going to have hemp diesel for when we have that problem.
We're going to be getting on our bicycles and go down. They do this in other countries. They walk. Some people walk a mile or two just to get a bucket of water. No, this is kind of crazy and funny, but really, I mean, we're talking about the X hitting the fan.
Y'all's time to ride a horse.
Yeah, and a horse, too.
Hey, horses are fun, man, and they make great companions. My grandfather was an equestrian. He had a horse for 20 years. That horse was awesome. It was his best friend. Freaking smarter than a dog. Awesome. And yes, Nighthawk, I've totally sold my soul to Bitcoin. They're totally.
How do you get your own Bitcoin? Awesome, brother. Awesome.
I want to compete with the dollar, because obviously these Keynesians out there still don't want to listen to the idea that things like gold and silver and commodities make sense. So you might as well throw them a better kind of fiat currency that at least Ben Bernanke isn't playing with. I'm much more comfortable with that because at least the government isn't screwing with it.
Yeah, well, somebody is. Somebody's making money, or it wouldn't be there. You know that. That's the nature of our system, and
Sure.
it boils down to the bottom line. Who's making the money.
Well, look at what the government did. They took the silver out of nickels and dimes. I'm surprised they didn't take the copper out of the penny. They did that in 19... Huh?
They have.
Was it 1943 they made aluminum ones?
No, it was 1965. 66. 65.
I don't know. I got one.
65 and back is silver.
Yeah, I think the 65 or 64.
Technically 64, but 64 minted 65 coins, so however you look at it.
Yeah.
I mean, they're telling you. They're telling everybody, but everybody's too busy working 3 jobs, going home, watching American Idol, and hanging out at the bar. And they don't know. They don't really care.
They have no idea.
I was just told it was 83 that they started cladding pennies.
Yeah,
I didn't know they were. I thought they were still copper.
Yeah, I heard 81, give or take.
Huh. Yeah, I thought they were still copper.
They look at don't
Copper's only $300 a pound, I think.
Yeah, I think it's a copper penny is worth 3 cents or something on the weight.
Oh, that's interesting.
But you can tell the new ones, they don't tarnish. Aluminum.
We're getting all kinds of information here, ain't we?
As usual.
Oh, yeah, and the $100 bill is predominantly made in North Korea.
I believe that now.
Oh, they've tracked
it's
tracked it down to counterfeiting there.
It's not well talked of, and but it's actually been reported in mainstream media as well as alternative media.
It was their second national gross product.
Counterfeit money?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe that.
I think it was Carter even asked him to quit doing it, and he said, hell no.
No, well, they got to have an economy.
You know?
They have an economy?
Yeah.
I'll believe they have an economy when they turn the lights on at night.
Well, a lot of their stuff's underground, man. They did all this in secret. It's hard getting the secret out of that place. They've been that way for 65, 70 years now.
Well, so have we.
Not like them. I mean, everything they do is underground. All their factories, everything's underground.
Well, it's no secret they can't make a rocket.
Well,
Yeah. Oh, I was going to mention one thing.
According to Hawk, they put that satellite in orbit today. And it's going to pass over the United States for the next 5 days. So that could be why the military is all up and roll right now, because who knows what's on this thing.
Shoot a missile into space tomorrow, and it wouldn't matter.
It could drop on us tonight.
We could hit it with a Tesla death ray. Whatever.
Well, all it takes is an EMP.
Kim Jong-un is staring at me from the sky.
Oh, they launched it in December, excuse me. So
Didn't he make a threat
to get there?
Didn't he make a threat that he was going to blow up the sun?
Am I supposed to worry about Kim Jong-un, or am I supposed to worry about George Bush? I don't know. I got plenty of enemies here. I'm an American. I'm a patriot. What do you want from me?
It'll pass over us 30 times in the next 5 days. Well, that is kind of strange with them putting out that warning, too.
30 times in 5. Is it fast, or is it just going back and forth?
I don't know. It's probably going pretty fast, because I think the shuttle, he says it's a polar orbit, which means it'd be even quicker.
Oh, yeah. I see. Yeah, the polar orbit can, I think, go around a little less than go around the world every 2 hours or less.
Well, what is the path of a polar orbit? I've never heard of a polar
North-south.
North to south.
Or south to north.
Yeah, it's depending on which side.
Oh, okay. So it's in a fixed position So basically,
Here
it's because it keeps passing by when the Earth rotates in a certain way.
Hawk's going to straighten this out.
Right?
You guys.
I have not smoked anything.
Hawk, did you just wake up? It sounds like it. Go ahead.
No. I'm just sitting here. It's like, oh my God, these guys. It's like I can type. They're opening a tuna can on Tuesday, and they'll say, Hawk just said they're reading the newspaper on Friday. No, they launched a satellite, supposedly a communications and weather viewing satellite back in December. Okay, it's in too low of an orbit to be effective like that. It's also moving too fast to really be an effective communication satellite. You usually want those to be geosynchronous and high above the planet. But I was looking at the NORAD track for the starting tomorrow. It will be over top of us 30 times over the course of 5 days. It's in a polar orbit. It goes, the Earth is spinning around and around, but it stays in the same spot, going around the poles. Zum, 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 zum. So, as the Earth is spinning, it's going to be under when it passes each time for the next 4 or 5 days, and then it'll start moving out, moving back out towards the Atlantic and then Europe, and it's math. Does that all make sense now?
Yeah, perfect sense.
Yep.
So, it's the only thing. It's obviously not a communication satellite because it's not communicating. It's only spitting out telemetry data right now, and that's it. Usually, communication satellites are picking up signals and bouncing them back to where they're supposed to go. I'm not real sure why North Korea would need a communication satellite anyway. My wife's watching the game behind me, so it's.
They got to get their they got to get their Netflix too,
Yeah, well, no, this is for communication satellite. It's usually like for cell phone, and you're listening to Liz yell at the ball game. Getting ready to get into overtime, Louisville. Oh, see? There you go. We were screaming at her computer for like last 4 or 5 minutes.
There ain't nothing wrong with that. You scream at yours all the time, don't you?
Yes.
I know you got to. With all us around.
A lot. Oh, no, I was trying to render some video today, and it's like, oh, my God, it's horrible. I hate rendering video. But anyway, that's the deal with the satellite.
Well, I'm glad you explained it to us because I sure didn't know what was going on. I thought you were talking about it happening today.
Yeah, they miniaturized it back in 2011. They tested their milk tray EMP, mass CMP device, which they can miniaturize enough to have gotten onto that rocket. And the rocket wasn't powerful enough to get it, really high. So it's pretty low orbit now, and all they'd have to do is a very short deburn to drop it below the ionosphere. The EMP won't work unless it's below the ionosphere because the ionosphere will just balance it back off into space. So, I don't know. The thing that concerns me is, they tell all the diplomats to get the hell out of Dodge because they won't guarantee their safety by the 10th. And then, from now until about the 14th, the satellites could be bebopping over our head. Now, the question is, can they control it? Because it's over the horizon from them. So that would be my question. Can they control the satellite from that?
What kind of Navy do they have?
Huh?
What kind of Navy do they have?
Yeah, that was my next step. It's been reported, and the U.S. military confirms that we've lost track of 2 of their submarines.
Yeah, see, now that's scary there.
Yeah, so their submarines are fast enough to whip around the Horn of South America and get up into the Atlantic and able to communicate with that satellite since they've lost track of it in plenty of time.
Yeah,
so I ain't trying to scare anybody here. I mean,
no, this is information that is really important.
Good information. Justin's like, oh, you shouldn't talk about it. Well, not talking about it isn't going to make it go away.
No, it ain't. And if you're well aware of what the possibilities are, you have to keep a head on your shoulders if something does happen. Yeah,
if there's a bright flash really high and all the lights go out, you know what happened, nobody else around you is going to know what happened. That gives you a little lead time and information to buckle down. I just may be all a bunch of supposition. I don't know, but I'd rather know. I'd rather be ready for it. So, I can go, okay, I need to do this and that and this and that. I got stuff thrown in the metal boxes now, that I might need. So, I made sure, my generator runs on a carburetor and points instead of fuel injectors and electronic ignition. Same thing with my, I could go to town on my lawnmower. It's the same way.
Hey, it might be a way you need.
Got me a little wagon on the back of it. I just say, everybody else, I'll be all screwed up in their computerized cars. I'll be going to town on my lawnmower all 4 miles an hour at a time.
Yeah, now, nobody's trying to spread fear porn now, people. Just think of what's going on and keep a level head.
Hey, just remember this. This thing's going to be hitting us over 5 days. 5 to 7 days. Like a week from now is tax day. I think that's awfully convenient timing if they were to attack.
Yeah, another
wait a minute.
thing.
Steve, weren't you just saying we were basically full of crap 5 minutes ago? What's what happened?
No, he wasn't.
Oh, okay.
I'm exploring many different possibilities, and I have the ones that I'm more comfortable with, but I don't discredit anything that's valid.
Now, here's what I'm comfortable with.
I have to play devil's advocate. Somebody's got to say what isn't said.
Yep. What I'm comfortable with is sitting here listening to military traffic on radios, watching satellite tracking data, looking at the NORAD public ports. I'm a little annoyed because N2YO, did they win?
They're going to.
Okay, they're going to win.
Hey.
Off air, or offline, which is what I've always used to track satellites to see where they're at. So I've had to go and use Orbitron, which is a pain in the ass. It's not a very well-designed site, but you can go over there and use them for now until they get N2YO back up. That's how I make my decisions with hard facts. I don't use it with, I don't make any decisions with Before It's News and Huffington Post and anything. It's like, listen, watch, do the math. Go ahead.
You just made everybody think.
Yeah,
Hey,
connecting
I
dots.
got a question. I don't have your personal phone number. Can I ask you now? I just had a question, and since you're here, can I ask you? Or
Does it have to do with the show or Korea?
well, no, it has to do with glacial. Hold on, it has to do with glacial deposits. But you know what? I'll just wait till he's around some other time. I won't forget the question. So that's fine.
What's the question, Irving?
Well, I go through the Midwest and I see all these glacial, deposits, and I'm just, when I see all the, from the Wisconsin advance and the Illinois advance, those ice ages, I thought of Hawk because he's a farmer, and I was just wondering, is that why the United States has such, like in the Pacific Northwest, and is that why we have such great, for crops, the soil? Is that what makes it so rich and, good to grow? Because of those deposits that the glaciers left, they're like mountainous in a way. They came and left it and then they retreated. That's all. It was just a question I had for him about that.
I don't know if it'd make much difference, I mean, hell, most of the time it was frozen, wasn't it? Might be just good dirt from the beginning of time.
What the hell? Why is everybody fighting in the chat room? Did I sort of fight? Did I go in there and pick a fight or something? What's that? Everybody's all bickering now.
I ain't paid no attention. I've been having so much fun talking with y'all.
Count Cranula wants his donation back about pee announcements. What the hell? Just
What do you think, Hawk?
rules and act like normal people. I don't know. I can't understand what you're saying, dude. I'm sorry. Can somebody translate? All I hear is...
Well, translate for Ahmad. Translate.
Ahmad.
Translate. I'm an ET now. telepathically talking to Ahmad. Go ahead, Ahmad.
You are. You wouldn't believe what the voices in my head are saying right now. Well, folks, I want to remind everybody this is Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, and we're totally listener funded. We'd appreciate a book or two if you kick it our way. And if you ain't in the chat room, you're missing half the show most of the time. Usually we got a good group in there. They ain't really arguing. I'm not sure what was going on there a minute ago, but it's usually a pretty good place to hang out and meet new people, talk about subjects that you're passionate about. Like tonight we were talking about UFOs and New World Order and stuff, and I appreciate Paul coming on with us. He ain't said too much the last 30 minutes or so.
I'm enjoying the conversation.
What do you think about Korea?
I don't think anything's going to come of it. Personally, I think that it's going to pass over. I don't think there's going to be like a major World War III.
You think he's just stomping his feet and throwing a hissy so we notice him instead of his dad?
I think so. I think it's exactly what it is.
I think the head noodle's small, and he's trying to make up for it.
Say the bigger the toy is, the less the joy.
I guess.
See.
He shoot a gun and sit on a horse. I don't know. I think there are some people that should be proactive ads for condoms.
Oh, man. I think we've met a few of them around here, too, sometimes.
Well, yeah. What better perfect advertising campaign for condoms would be like show a picture of Kim Jong poo-poo and condoms?
Why don't they just take a drone and just get rid of the guy?
Yeah.
Whoa, how do you know he ain't a clone? You know, I wouldn't doubt the guy's doing just what our government wants him to do.
Right, exactly.
That we've maneuvered him into doing what he's doing.
That's right.
I agree.
I mean, I don't put nothing beyond possibilities, you know. I do surmise certain things, you know, but the possibilities are there.
With all the racket he's making, there's something that's keeping us back. I mean, I don't understand why the 7th Fleet isn't setting, you know, bathroom right now. Going, you know, we need to calm down.
Yeah, it does seem strange.
Why not? Why is it this complicated? What's really going on? That's equally as important a question to ask.
Yeah, so why are we staying back? I mean, we're staying back further than we even need to. We're way outside of international waters. Are we trying to stay on a missile range? Are we afraid of what might be on that satellite? You know, it's not really all that hard to build a, you know, you can go look it up, military EMP device. They're small. They're very effective. You know, if you don't know what EMP actually is, it's kind of like think of it like a radio wave, I guess. You know, it's not like lightning bolts come shooting down out of the sky or anything. It's invisible. There's no blast wave, no wave front, except
feel nothing.
Yeah, it's just a field, and a huge blast of ions, neutrons, electrons. It really they mess up semiconductors, and they will change the ground potential long enough that it's like electric will come up out of the ground. You know, like if you ground something, well, if electric comes up out of the ground or in the ground, flip-flop, you know, it's like a flip-flop device in a computer, except for, you know, let's imagine it's kind of like crossing your battery cables when you're jumping a car. There's a fair assessment of what's happening.
It sure messes them up.
Yeah, and it's just for a millisecond, but it does a lot of damage to delicate semiconductors.
Yeah, that's a scary thought because just about everything uses them nowadays. You know, even every car made in the last 10 years has some of them in them.
Oh yeah, and you know, if you got a car more than 10 years old, you should be able to find a used car computer at the junkyard, cheap, $100. Take it and wrap it up real good in heavy aluminum foil, and then put it in your EMP box.
That's a good idea right there now.
Now, if it's the really new ones, they got too many computers in to even try that crap. I think some of these new computers, all these fly-by-wire cars where the gas pedal isn't even actually attached to anything.
And there are some out there now that are that way.
Well, dude, there's planes like that now. You know, they upgraded all the planes to basically be like digital controls where, you know, it's all circuitry information as opposed to the way it used to be, which is like with cars where the wheel is directly connected to some sort of a drive shaft, if you will, that operates the flaps on the wings.
Yeah, jets have been fly-by-wire for about 20 years now, most of them. I mean, they all have a manual backup system in it, especially passenger aircraft. They have a manual hydraulic system, but, you know, most of the actual flying is done by computers and pneumatic actuators and solenoids and controls and all that kind of stuff, just like a remote control plane in a lot of ways, except for, you know, the stick is kind of like the remote control and you're in the plane.
Yeah, but it's still pretty much the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I want to be racing along the highway at 85 mile an hour with a bunch of other cars whose the gas pedal isn't actually hooked up to anything.
Or they got them steering wheels that are that way too?
Yeah, I don't think we do yet, but, you know, dude, Toyota.
I've seen them on concept cars now. I don't know if they're on any of the new cars or not.
I don't, yeah, like, I don't understand why that is considered like progress in such a big way. Here, let me put a buffer in between you and your control of your high velocity death machine.
Yeah, I think it's an absolutely ridiculous and costly and stupid thing to have. You know, Toyota had all that trouble last year with the cars ramming into cars in front of them because they'd let off the gas pedal it would just mysteriously take off. And I personally think that if you notice that stuff always happens